Não, era vocês, você, né? Porque vocês financiam toda essa merda e vocês criam toda essa merda. E a gente tem que tentar desfazer a merda que vocês criaram. Criaram como? Fumando, pagando para o comércio do crime organizado. E o crime organizado mata entre si. A polícia mata o crime organizado às vezes mata a polícia. Muita matança mesmo. E pessoas morrem de consumo de drogas, ainda mais. E se não tivesse esses consumidores, então não teria problema. Significa blame game. You blame the consumers. And I think there is a certain logic in it. If nobody consumed drugs, then there would be no organized crime, and there would be no Prof, maybe, and no caviarões, and everything would be very nice and cozy and aconchegante. So I think it's difficult in a way because it's true. But what would the political consequences be? And is there an alternative way to blame somebody else, maybe? Could we try to blame somebody else?
Yes, we could.
Yeah, whom?
Well, the person who, in the first moments, actually made the drug illegal, for instance.
Yeah.
So the primary criminalization of the act.
Yes.
Creation of a legislation that says that, okay, that specific substance is illegal.
How would you argue that? Now I'm Nascimento, and I say, no, you just want to take the blame off yourself, and you want to shift it to somebody else. Now,
Well,
give me a good argument.
Okay, well, first of all, I would say, what's the point in blaming someone? This is the first. This would be my first question. You suppose that you come from the argument, you're based on the principle that someone is to blame. You see? And you also come from the idea, you're based on the premise that this substance, if this substance were not to be consumed, then there would be no organized crime. Or that this link is indubitably changed. So in a sense, I would first argue that, well, I don't see the point in the blame game, in a sense, because it misses the fundamental point of asking whether this drug should be or should not be illegal, in a sense.
Yeah. Now I say the drug is bad, so it should be illegal.
I say that.
What does Ricardo say and what does Mayra say?
Well, I say that coxinha is bad.
Oh,
It's
no,
not because of that.
don't say that.
We should forbid it. I say that sugar kills more people each and every day.
Yeah.
I say that driving a car possesses risks that are undoubtedly worse than drug consumption.
Now let me say one thing. If we have 20 things that kill people like coxinha and sugar, why should we have 21 things and also have cocaine?
Have you ever done cocaine?
I have done.
No, it's a rhetorical question.
I
In a sense, this is a substance that is used for. Well, you could argue that it was used medicinally at one point.
Yeah.
You could argue that even though if you look through an entertainment lens, why should it not be? Why should it be illegal? Yeah, I believe that one should be aware of the consequences of such acts, but it's not because it's bad that you not should do it.
I think what you avoid to say, and I don't know why you avoid it, is it should not be illegal because I have a right to use for my recreational purposes whatever I want to use, as long as I don't kill somebody.
Exactly. That's my point, which you
Yes.
succinctly
Yeah. Thank
put
you.
together.
Yes. And when you have a right, then nobody has a right to prohibit it. And then it is illegal to prohibit drugs. That would be, if you have the right, and if every adult person has the right, then the state has no right to prohibit it, because that would be violating your right. And that makes sense. And what does Maia say?
I think that the police didn't start being violent during the war on drugs. And before the war on drugs, there would be other things that were forbidden that would motivate them to go into these communities and perpetrate the same kind of violence under other excuses. And the user didn't pull the trigger, and killing the little kid who was being an asset in the drug trafficking market doesn't stop. It's not an effective way of having less drugs being sold. So not only did Captain Nascimento take an ineffective means to reach his goal, also he's blaming someone for the bullet that he fired. And he didn't have to kill the kid to stop the drug trafficking market. But my main point is that the police has always been violent and has always been killing people in the same places over and over, and it's just a matter of what's going to be forbidden and what's going to be taken over by the market that strives on illegal stuff.
Yeah.
Milícias sell irregular internet, gatunete, they sell gas, they have illegal transportation, so it's not about the substance in itself.
Yeah, you say.
And I also don't believe that drugs in themselves create addiction. It's a broader context than this.
Yeah, very good. I think you have a very strong partner in that opinion. That would be Carl Hart.
Exatamente.
Yes.
Exatamente, Carl Hart é a melhor pessoa.
Yeah, concordo plenamente.
Professor, it's because I think it's dangerous to put the matter on not only good and bad, but if it's healthy, okay, it's healthy or not healthy, but if it's to make this game of blame, because since the prohibition is a matter of state, since it's a matter of law, the state complicates the conflict, and the state, to deal with problems and to deal with society, it deals with public policies. And the point is, a good public policy is the one that generates more benefits than harm. And if I have regardless if drugs are good for health, bad for health, are good, are harmless or not, point is the public policy that I implement is doing more harm than if I hadn't implemented. So it's a bad public policy. And the point is, the state cannot say it's good for health, because the state cannot be morally above the citizen. The state cannot tell me what is good or bad, but it can tell me what it's happening for society, what is killing people or not. So if the policy is doing more harm than benefits, then it's a bad policy, and we have to just abandon it. That's a point of administration, state.
Yeah. I think we have the two arguments. One would be the public policy is doing more harm than benefit, so it should be changed or abolished. And the other argument would be more individualistic. There is a right of the citizen to determine by himself what he likes to do.
It can be combined.
And it can be combined. And now we have such good arguments, and that is very strange that policy is still not changed.
But I think that's the point that connects with her idea, because it's not a rational question. It's a question of how the society works, and a question of classes, who are being killed and who are buying.
And
So
who's making
we can
money?
discuss the whole, we
Yeah.
can discuss for ages
Yeah.
about whether it's rational or not. If we don't look what's the real social point on it, if we don't take the historical part that black people are being killed because and criminalized through history,
Yeah.
we are not going anywhere because it's not a question of being, it's not only a question of being rational, but understanding
Yeah.
how our society works and divides
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, would you say that behind the curtain of drug policy, there is a deeper principle that is race relations and domination of white over non-white and rich over poor, and to maintain hegemony and dominance? Would you say that that is why the things don't change?
I don't know if it's why the things don't change. I think it's one major point, especially in America, South America, North America, Central America. I think it's a very important point. Perhaps not the only one, but sure it's one of the most important ones.
Yeah, yeah. Mayra, and then we will have a little pausa.
So when someone is arrested by some kind of drug offense, in the boletim de ocorrência is going to appear the public health as the victim of the crime. And if you look at what is done to the public health as policies, for example, most of the clinics, rehab clinics that we have, at least here in São Paulo, that I'm sure of, are run by churches, by evangelical churches that make a lot of money out of and get many people for the churches afterwards when they leave, by saying they're treating drug use, but they're not treating drug use. They're just getting people and money out of a policy that they get rich of. So it's not about doing good for people's health. It's about a market that feeds itself of the illegality.
Yeah, right. I'm afraid that's also true. Good. So we now merecemos um intervalo.